So you want to start reading the Bible, but you don't know exactly where to start. Today on 2 Minute Tuesday, we are going to look at how to get the most out of your Bible reading. And in 2 minutes or less, I'm going to try to give you my top 5 tips for how to go about reading the Bible. So let's roll the bumper and get into the video. So the first thing that often overwhelms people when they sit down to try to read the Bible, or when they think about reading the Bible for the very first time, is that there is simply a ton of different options. And so people wonder what translation they should use. They wonder what Bible's best. What are they going to get the most out of? So let me first off start by saying a few versions that I think you should not read. The first thing that you should not read is the Hebrew Bible. I don't mean the Old Testament or what Christians have as the Old Testament. I don't mean the Tanakh or the Torah. I mean like a Hebrew version of the Bible, unless you read Hebrew. So that one is out. The second thing that you should not read is a Greek version of the New Testament, unless you read Greek. That one's out. Very simple. When I preach, this is my preaching Bible. I preach from the NIV. And for the most part, this is because it is fairly readable. It is a readable translation, and I want people in my congregation to hear a translation that they think they could read. And so I like it. You can read it quickly. You can read it slowly. It reads well. So that, for me, as a preacher, is important. I use the NIV, and it's also typically, so this is my preaching Bible. I'm going to put it here. It's also the one that I read personally for my time with Jesus. Okay? There are a lot of other translations. That's the ESV, that's the NRSV, that's another NIV. This is the Message, which the more I study and the longer I'm in ministry, the longer I appreciate, the more I appreciate Eugene Peterson's reworking into the Message. But none of these are what I am going to suggest you start with. And that's because I think you should start with what you have. If you have a Bible, it doesn't matter what translation it is. It doesn't matter what version it is. Start with the version you have. If you want to start reading the Bible for the very first time, start with the book that you have. If you don't have a book, most people who will be watching this video on YouTube will have a phone. And so for you, I say, don't even worry about going out and buying a Bible just yet. It's a good thing to do. I can already picture people disagreeing with this advice, and I kind of hope it happens down in the comments. Go online to the App Store and download the YouVersion Bible app. You can read pretty much any translation of the Bible there. They've got reading plans to help you keep up with your reading. They've got a number of topical reading plans. So, number 1, start with what you have. Okay, tip number 2, don't just open up the Bible and begin reading. It's yes, one big story, I believe, pointing people toward Jesus. But the Bible is actually 66 different books. And so they're bound for us conveniently in one book. But there are 66 different books written by different authors over a span of many years. And so if you simply come to the Bible, let's say you come to it for the first time and you flip open the Bible and you begin reading, you might find something. You might find something that is exceptionally relevant. You might find something that helps you, but it's not the best place to start. I would actually even say this: the beginning of the book that we have is also not necessarily the best place to start, okay? It is a great story. I believe the whole Old Testament points people toward Jesus, and so that's why I suggest that people start with the Gospels. Start with books that are called Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They are the life and teaching of Jesus. So if you open the Bible about halfway through, you're going to land somewhere in like between Psalms, Proverbs, Isaiah, into the prophets, okay? You want to land most of the way toward the end of the book. It's a good place to start. I believe as a pastor, as a follower of Jesus, the best place for you to start is in the life and teaching of Jesus. Go and read about his life. Go and read some of his teaching and spend some time there, all right? Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, they're called the Gospels. That's a great place to start. Settle into it. Tip number 3 is once you have picked your version of the Bible that you have, you've got a Bible, maybe you've been reading the Bible for years, you've spent some time in the Gospels, and you're not quite sure where to go next, you're not quite sure, maybe you've been reading the Bible for 20, 30, 40 years, and for some reason you're just stuck. You keep reading the same things over and over and over again. This is a tip for you. I think it would be of benefit to every single person to spend some time reading the Psalms. The Psalms were written in part by a man named David. David was a shepherd who became the king of Israel, and they are incredible. There are psalms of praise and thanksgiving. There are psalms of lament if you find that you are going through a season of trial or suffering or questioning and you're not quite sure what is happening in your life and maybe, not even sure if God cares about you. Like the Psalms are a great place to hang out. And what I want to suggest to you is this. Read the Psalms slowly. Don't rush through it. And when I say slowly, I mean like take months to read through it, okay? All right, tip 3 is really simple and really short, and that is it can be really difficult to build a habit of reading the Bible every single day. I'm a pastor. I pretty well have to read the Bible most days for my job. And it's still something that is difficult to cultivate in your own personal life, a time and a place and a space to spend time with Jesus. So tip number 4 is give yourself a time and a place to read the Bible consistently, okay? And that may be in your bedroom, it may be in an office, it may be on a couch, but pick the same spot every single time you sit down to read the Bible and try to do it at the same time. That's going to help you cultivate habits that are repetitive and strong and you can build into your daily life and routine very quickly. Along with that, what I try to do is I make a good cup of coffee right before I sit down because that for me, it just kind of tricks my brain and my heart into thinking, okay, I'm ready for this. I'm up in the morning, I'm sitting in the same place, I've got a good cup of coffee, everything in my environment and life is pointing me in this one direction. It's time to spend time reading the Bible. Okay, tip number 5, the last tip for this video is pick a reading plan. Let's go back to YouVersion, and if you head over to the plans icon on the YouVersion Bible app, you can pick plans from how to read the Bible in 1 year to topical plans like we've already talked about. And if you hit find plans, you can search for a whole lot of everything. Different topics from, let's say, Lent, like we're heading into the season of Lent and you want to do a Bible study or a Bible reading that is going to lead you into Easter, that's going to be a good place for you to start. How to read the whole Bible. If you're married, how to read the Bible with your spouse. A whole lot of different things that are really beneficial for you and for your relationship with Jesus. Now, the one thing I will say about Bible plans is this: it is extremely easy to get behind on your Bible plans. Ask me someday where I'm at in my Bible plan of how to read the Bible in 1 year, and it'll become pretty apparent pretty quickly that it's easy to fall behind. And so the one thing that I would say to you is, if you pick a plan, don't get discouraged when you fall behind, because you will. Something will happen, you'll get distracted, you'll go off and you'll want to spend some time reading something else, or you'll actually slip into a season where you can't keep up with it, or you don't keep up with it. And the easiest thing to do in those moments is to beat yourself up about it. And I just want to say, don't do it. Don't beat yourself up, because as soon as you do that, you've lost. The chances of you going back to that plan are almost nothing. And I want you to read as much as possible, even if that's not every single day of your plan, the way your plan would want you to read. So pick a plan, try to stick with it, but when you fall behind, don't beat yourself up. Well, that's it. Thanks for tuning in to this 2-Minute Tuesday. I'm not sure how we did on time. Comment in the video below if this is the second video in a row that we have not made the 2-minute mark. Hey, if you haven't already subscribed, I would love it if you would subscribe to the channel. Every single Tuesday, we take 2 minutes to make our faith really meaning and relevant and practical together. If you liked this video, click the thumbs up. If you didn't like it, leave a comment why you didn't like it. As always, I'll see you next week for another video. Peace.